Have you ever wondered how the PDC order of merit works? Whether you're a beginner to the game or you've been watching darts for a fair few years, in this video I'm going to break it down for you. By the end of the video, you know exactly everything you need to know about how the PDC order of merit works. If you're new to the channel, my name's Russell and I make darts-based content on this channel. So let's grab a coffee and let's jump straight into the video. To explain the PDC order of merit in its most simplest form, it is simply a table of individuals' prize money and it is ordered by that prize money. Prize money is obtained across the course of 104 weeks if they're a current PDC tour card holder, or 52 weeks if that player is not a PDC tour card holder. At the end of the season, if that player who is not a tour card holder isn't within a certain range of spots, then that money will be wiped and that will be at the end of the World Championships. But there's a lot more detail to go in on that, so we'll explain that in a further video. So you may think that the PDC order of merit is all about prize money, and yes, it is ranked by prize money, but being in that number one spot is not always everything. You see, the PDC operates a ranking system where you have to be in the right spots at the right time. And these rankings, if you are in these certain positions at certain times, also known as cut-offs before certain tournaments. This means that in ranking tournaments, which there are seedings involved, then you will be given part of a certain section of the draw. So the other advantages that you do get when you are in these certain ranked positions is that it enables you to continue on for the next season if you are ranked 64th or above. Now there is some caveats to that, but that is more for a future video rather than going into detail of that in this particular video. And it also means that most countries for the World Cup of Darts will use a system where it will be the number one and number two ranked player on the PDC order of merit, and that gives you your World Cup spot. Now there is some countries that do host qualifiers, and that's the way that they run their system, but generally on the whole it is the world number one and world number two for your country, which qualifies to represent your country in the World Cup of Darts. Now we've gone through the PDC order of merit, how it works in its most simplest form, and how the rankings can affect an individual player. It's time to understand how prize money can be added onto your rankings. And simply put, there's only one way this will happen, and that's through ranked events. So the PDC hosts a number of events throughout the year, and these are broken down into non-ranking tournaments and ranking tournaments. Ranking tournaments, simply put, are events where any tour card holder can qualify for these tournaments and earn prize money, whereas the non-ranking tournaments can be thought of as invitational tournaments. The PDC would invite you to these tournaments, or it may be based on the rankings. So let's take a look at the ranking tournaments which the PDC holds throughout the year and how these can add money to your rankings. So the calendar is across a 12-month period, and so starting with the first event, which is the Windmill World Masters, then you have the UK Open, you have the World Match Play held at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool, then we move on to the World Grand Prix, then the Grand Slam and the World Championships. Between these you also have the Players Championships Final, the European Championships Final, and throughout the year there is also Euro Tour events which are held across cities across Europe, and you also have the Pro Tour events which are held generally in the UK, but they can sometimes be held in Germany as well. So all of these tournaments will add money onto your ranking. So there is also, as I explained, a number of non-ranking tournaments. So non-ranking tournaments can be thought of as tournaments where you have to be invited. So this may be through your ranking position, it may be in the case of the World Cup of Darts. They generally pick the number one and number two ranking of that respective country on the order of merit at the cut-off point, and then you also have the World Series of Darts, which are invitational again events. They're generally the number 1 to 8 in the world generally gets invited to the World Series of Darts, and they play against local qualifiers who have qualified to be able to play in the event. And these are held across the season and across the globe, so there's many events. There's the USA, you have events across Europe, also going as far as Australia and into New Zealand, so there's lots of different events. But these events, when you win prize money from them, that doesn't count onto your rankings. Now there is secondary ranking systems that these are counted on, and the reason for that is in the case of the World Series of Darts final, World Series of Darts events, it goes on to the World Series of Darts finals ranking table, and at the end, if you are in a certain position, you will then qualify for the World Series of Darts event finals. So some of the terminology which you may hear, and a term which is used generally by commentators and on social media, is defending prize money. And when I first started trying to understand darts, this terminology just seemed alien to me. I couldn't understand it, so I spent lots of time researching, watching lots of YouTube videos and understanding how definitive prize money actually works. I'm glad to say that over time I have picked this up. Now I fully understand how the system works. So I want to take you through a simple example, and and we're going to use Luke Littler as the example. What you have to understand with defending prize money is that it's not a case of so we're going to use the 2027 World Championship as the example, but it's not the 2026 World Championship that you're defending the prize money from. It's from the year before, so it's the 2025 World Championship. So in the 2025 World Championship, Luke Littler won his first world title and scooped a nice prize of £500,000. So at this tournament, you can think of, before the tournament even starts, even though it's not taken off until 104 weeks, you can think of the £500,000 that's been taken off his prize money. So in order to defend that prize money, as it is called, he then needs to win that same amount of prize money or increase it if he can, which in the case of Luke Littler and the way he's playing at the moment, that is absolutely more than possible, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does win another world title this year. So the prize money for the World Championships this year, so the winner's prize is going to be £1 million and the runners-up prize will be £400,000. So in order for Littler to defend his full £500,000, there is only one way he can do that, and that is by winning the World Championship. So if he was to win the World Championship, what would happen is £500,000 would be taken off his rankings, but then because he won £1 million, that £500,000 has now gone back on. And on top of that, he's now increased his ranking prize money by £500,000. Now, in certain ranks, as you're getting further down and as the spots get closer and closer together, the prize money is a lot closer. This can affect your rankings, and this is where your super players move up and down the rankings, and when it's a lot tighter, it's a lot more easy to do that. Obviously, in the case of Littler, where he is a considerable way ahead in the prize money at this present moment, then that means that it is going to be very difficult for someone to catch him at current, but you never know what might happen. The PDC may decide to change the way that the order of merit works in order to try and combat these things, but the further down the rankings generally, the tighter it will get. So let's look at the example of Luke Littler and say he comes second in the World Championships. So if he comes second in the World Championships, it will be £400,000 prize money, because that's how much you get if you come the runner-up in the World Championships. So his £500,000 will be automatically taken off his rankings. He's put £400,000 back on because that's his prize money what he's won, and then that means that he has decreased his prize money by £100,000. And all the players behind him, whoever wins the World Championship, will obviously catch up in terms of prize money. It will be a little bit closer, but not too much closer. Obviously, as explained, the prize money is considerably gap between the rankings at the moment is quite considerable between the world number 1 and Luke Humphries, who is the world number 2 at present. So I think at this point we have covered most of the topics which I did want to cover in this video. As I explained earlier, we have got the tour card to take a further look at, which I want to take a look at in a further video. I think it requires more detail and there's a lot more nuances that need to be explained. So the last topic which I want to talk about, and that is what happens if a player is tied with another player in terms of their prize money, and how does the PDC sort this out. So essentially how the system works is that the PDC operates a countback rule, and the countback rules, I will display these on the screen for you just over here. And how that works is that the PDC starts from the previous 4 ranking events, and they will count back the prize money and see if there is a difference. If there's a difference can be found, and the player with the most prize money won across those 4 events will then be ranked as the higher ranking on the order of merit. Now, if there isn't able to be a split in this case, they would then continue the count back right until the start of the ranking money which has been added on, and see if they can find a difference. Now, in some rare cases, which I probably would think has never happened but could possibly happen, it would be extremely rare because of the prize money and the differences that you do get in prize money across different tournaments. It would be difficult to see where a player would be tied completely across a 2-year period. I would imagine that would be pretty hard to achieve. But it could be possible, and so the PDC obviously needs to have rules in place to understand it. And so what they have is they then have a playoff rule. So what would happen is that the 2 players would play off against each other, and the winner of that would get the higher ranking. Now obviously in most cases this isn't going to really affect much, because it depends on the particular how the players are ranked and how much difference there is in prize money. If they're obviously tied, then it depends on if it's for a cut-off spot. If it's for a cut-off spot, obviously these sort of things are going to come into play. So that hopefully gives you an understanding of the countback rules which the PDC operates. This does sadly bring us to the end of today's video, and I hope you have found it very informational. So as I've explained the PDC order of merit and explained all the nuances and how it works, I hope you have found this video very useful and that you now understand how the PDC works. Now, as I have explained throughout the video, I am going to use this video as part of a wider series, and I want people like yourself who's a beginner to darts, I want you to get a more understanding of the game and how the PDC works. So if there's any future topics that you think I should cover, then please do leave a comment below and then we'll use that in a future video. And also, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to consider leaving a like to this video, subscribe to the channel so that then you never miss any of my videos, and take a look through the back catalogue of videos which I have already posted to this channel. And if you do want to ensure that you're not going to miss another video on this channel, then do please consider subscribing. Until the next one, have a good one.